Hello guys, and welcome to this new video on the game engine series. Now it's almost 6 days I haven't uploaded any video about this game engine, and you guys are probably wondering why I haven't done that. Well, one primary reason is because I had some issue with the program itself as I was creating the states, because I wanted to create like a state with state manager where I could simply change from menu to play, pause, and all that kind of stuff. And I was actually having problem because the memory usage of my program was actually, growing every time I was changing a state. So if I change, for example, from player to from play to menu, then I got memory increasing. One of the reasons was because I didn't clean my texture manager map properly, and I still haven't found one yet. I still have a problem with that, but I understood that that was actually taking too much time, and I decided to move forward and do something else so that I can actually publish something out there so that you guys can actually have access on that. That's the reason why I decided to move forward and find something else to do. I'm still working on this UI stuff, and it's really difficult, but now it's important for me to some kind of bring things together for this video. In the previous video we have been talking about object factory. So we created our object factory so that every time when we create a new class, we can simply register that class, and later we simply use our object factory to create that kind of object by just giving the name of that class to the factory, and then he will build an object for us. One of the reasons we're doing that is, one, because we don't want to be using new every time. You don't want to write a code where you will every time have to deal with, because when your code when you use the new operator too much, you're probably going to be running through memory leaks or something like that. That's very dangerous in C++. That's why the idea is to create like the factory as we did in the video in the previous video. So if you guys haven't watched that, you can still go back and check that out. It's really important. That's an important component when it comes to talk about games. Now we don't want to be using new everywhere in our code to create object every time. We want to somehow bring that to only one point where only this factory will call that the constructor of that class, and we'll always have track on all objects that we created, and so we can simply delete them without having to search anywhere if something was wrong or not. And the second reason is because normally in the game development, when you have to create like a scene or a level, you will have some kind of files in which you specify all your objects. So you will create, so I've been talking about XML through this course, so I know you guys understand what I'm talking about. You will somehow have a file like this in which you have your object. This is for the textures. This is not actually the case, and you will define the type of the object, for example, by giving the name of the class we've registered, and you will give some specification about the object, like the position on the screen, the scale, the rotation, and all that kind of stuff. And by just calling the factory constructor class, or create object, we'll simply pass those properties as we have right here. We'll pass that from the XML file and just pass it to this function, and he will create an object with those specific property for us. And that's really important because we will not have to always come and change things in our code. We simply want to go out and work with the editor. That's why we're actually creating this kind of thing right here, so that when we select, I could probably select something right here and somehow draw it on the screen. I move this guy. Somehow draw it on the screen, and we could see a nice result, and then simply push on a save button. Later when we start the game, we have that object draw, because we're simply going to be writing inside of that XML file. So that's really important. I really like to talk about this because that's important. Now before we talk about what we have to deal in this video, we're going to be talking about state manager. That's important. Before we talk about that, I just want to show you the stage of this program right here. Some kind of give you a brief idea of where we're at and how we're going to be moving forward. Now, as you can see right here, we have this UI component which we added to our program, and we can actually load some images. They should normally show like a thumbnail right here, but they're not visible. It doesn't matter, I'm still working on that. It's not so easy. So what I'm using actually for this GUI right here is the Nano Gui. There is a SDL version of that, which is I'll provide a link in the description below, which is on GitHub. You can also go out and check that out, but I'm not going to be talking about this in this video. We're going to be talking about this in the upcoming videos. I just want to let you know where I'm at right now. And yeah, that was simply a point. And here you can simply see I have this image panel right here where I can select the image that I want, and yeah, it's only this, and we have our player right here, but there is some things going on here. I don't know why the image is going sometime out and in. Still have to figure that out. And there is also this that I added. I can now move around the map, because this actually has two modes. So there is the play mode. If I want to play the game, I can simply push F5, and you see the UI just disappeared, and now I can move and play the game and do some stuff. But if I push escape, then my menu just come back, and you see there is nothing going on here. There is no update anymore. The player is not animated anymore, because we don't want to keep the computer running when we don't need the animation. Actually, that's why it's important for us to make this different when we're editing and when we're playing the game. And the idea is that we simply drag and drop images from here and simply save them in our XML file, and later we simply use like our factory to create all those objects and draw them on the screen. So that's the main idea of this. Now, as you can see, we can also move this on the y-axis. So you see, move this like this. This is important when you're gonna be adding like trees or buildings or whatever. You wanna somehow move this, because we can create huge maps with more spaces. I'm actually gonna be adding the mouse drag, so that we can simply drag and drop things easily without any problem. So I don't want to talk too much, so let's get started. We're gonna be talking about state manager. So need to close this about states, whatever. Now, the first thing I want to show you in the engine, in my engine class, we have some important component that we added. We have this tree function right here, which is the function. We have the pop, we have the push, and the change. The pop is, for example, when you're playing the game and you simply pause the game. So you pause the game, there is like a pop-up for the pause state which appears on the screen, but you haven't quit the play state yet. The play state is still available. You don't want to destroy that component because you want to come back to the game. That's why we have this pop right here. The push is exactly important when you actually want to, you don't want to destroy the current state, but you want to push something in and draw it on the screen. This is important. So we also need to have like a push, because if you want to pop, you need to push first, because we can only draw one state by time. So if you want to pop, you need to have at least two states, the current and the previous one. That's the idea. Now we have the change state right here, which is simply changing the state, and all we got is this vector down here. I'm coming to this game state in a couple of seconds, and we have the vector here, which actually takes our states that we have to draw on the screen. Now this is basically what we have in our engine.h. Now it's important to talk about this game state. I created a new class in a folder called states. So this is entire, this depends on you. You can call it with all kind of name you want. Game state is just an abstract class, like an interface, something like that, in which we have all methods that are going to be implemented by the state that we have to create. We have the init, which initialize a component of that state. We have the exit, which is straightforward, and update and render. Those are important functions if you want to render the result or update the state. Now, We have the menu, for example, here. Let me open the menu.h. We have the menu here. We have those functions that we want to implement, and this was actually important because I was actually going to be creating UIs, and those were callbacks function. Start again, go to setting, editor, quit. That's why I have this. Those are callback function, because I'm going to be creating buttons with menus, and when I push on those buttons, I simply want to move and go to the actual state. So, and here, as you can see, I have this SDL renderer, and I call it context. If you guys have already programmed in C#, then this will probably be clear for you why I have something like this. It's clear that we have our engine which already has like a renderer on which we draw everything. But I also think it's important to have this because I'm going to be creating some UIs component like buttons, you know, for the menu, all that kind of stuff, and I will need to specify what kind of context those UIs component will have. That's why I need to create this local variable to this class which represents the context. But if I switch over to my CPP file, you can see what it actually takes is simply the renderer of our game engine. So the idea is when we initialize this state, we want to grab the renderer of the game engine because we're going to be drawing on that right now. This is important because it will probably happen in the future that we'll have many renderers, like we have a view box where we actually have our game and we have other stuff. That's why we kind of do it right now, because if later those kind of thing will come, then we wouldn't have to change everything again, and that's why we're going with this local variable right here. So as you can see, I simply take this context, and here I simply draw, and there is nothing inside. I still have to write the code here. I already have some UI component created, but I'm gonna cover that in probably in the next video, so we don't kind of stress about that right now. Now we have the update function which has nothing yet, the exit which has nothing. You don't have anything to delete or to destroy right here, and we have our callbacks function. There is nothing special in here. I haven't written anything. The same thing is done for the play state. By the play state, I also included all the class that we need, because by the play we almost need everything like game map, game object, enemy, warriors, all that kind of stuff. I included them because I'm probably gonna be using them. That's why I put them there. We have our virtual function, our inherited functions, our method. We have this get map right here, which I don't really need anymore. I don't know why I have it right here. I don't really need this. It's because I copied the function that were in the game engine and I pasted here, and I didn't remove this. This is not important anymore because we don't actually going to be getting the map outside of this play state. We're simply working with the map here because we already have this map level right here. We already have it here, so I don't need to get it anywhere else. That's why. But I don't want to remove that. Probably that could be helpful. And we also have some callbacks function right here, which we haven't used yet. And this is open menu and pause. It's simply that. Now we have this variable right here, which is not important yet. I'm just gonna show you so that you have an idea. But this is the reason why when I push my escape button right here, you can see I've switched to edit mode. And when I push F5, I switch to play mode. This is because of this editor. I'm always gonna check, okay, am I in edit mode? Then show the UI. If not, don't show anything. We have the map level. This hasn't changed. We had this in our engine, and we also have the context. Now I know I can simply grab this context and put this in my game state off, and I wouldn't have to edit right here every time. So probably gonna do that. I had that before, but since I had some issue with those memory leak stuff, I decided to, because I was trying, probably I didn't know, I was desperate. I thought maybe if I copy this and bring it down, then probably something will happen. So I don't need it here anymore, since this guy inherit from game state. I didn't mention this, but menu and play inherit from game state. That's why we don't need that anymore. So, and here we have the game object. This is also the same, it hasn't changed. If I switch over to the play.cpp, you can see we set the edit mode to files. That's why when we start the game, we don't start in edit mode, we start in play mode, and that's the idea actually. So yeah, that's why we start in play mode. He's actually falling. It's because I don't have a background. That's why it seems like he's falling on the air, but he was actually falling. And yeah, we simply, you know, pass our texture as you already know, and we load our map. We kind of grab, because we didn't have this before. I'm gonna be talking about this in the next video. Probably don't have it right now, but I just wanted to show you about this game state. This thing I'm talking about is this function where I actually get the collision layers, because it's actually the problem we had before I have this was I had to bring my map inside of the player in order for me to check collision. But I don't actually have to do that, because I can simply go out and create a function inside of my collision handler, which can actually, you know, simply, I can actually grab from the texture, from the map, the tile layer, and use it as collision layer. Actually, I'm gonna be talking about that in an upcoming video, so don't worry about that for now. But the source code is going to be available in the link in the description below, so don't worry about if you don't understand right now. You can still go and download that and check it. Now we also have this thing here. We set the camera limit. The reason why I'm not writing code anymore is because this project is getting huge and huge, but I still want to help you guys do this. I still want to show you how I did this so that you guys can understand. I want you guys to take this and start from this, maybe build something even better. I'm not the best at this, but I have some good idea that I can share with you. That's why I kind of try to do the best I can. But I'm also going to be talking about the set send limit, because it's important for us to know, you know, the size of our send, because if we don't set that, the camera is going to be moving everywhere, and don't want to move the camera everywhere so that we have problem. That's why you can see when I move, everything is just fitting on the screen. But if I maximize the screen, you will see we have this right here, and the reason is because I haven't resized the box of the camera to the size of the screen. That's actually one problem, but I already have an idea how to fix that. That's not a big deal. So that's actually an idea. That's the reason why we need that send limit, because our map has a predefined size, and that's the reason why we want to set the camera limit to that size we have, so that the camera never go out of that range. So we simply set the collision layer, which we got up here, and here we create our warrior, and we set the warrior as the camera target. The camera will always, you already know that. We push our warrior, and now we also have this GUI right here, which we simply initialize. One thing I really love about this is I didn't have to change anything in this in order for me to add the GUI, as you can see right here. So I create the GUI in another class, and I was actually able to simply bring it here and get the result I want with it. So you can see there is no, we don't have any line of code about GUI right here where we create like the windows you can see right here on the screen. We don't have anything like that here. I simply draw it here, and it will simply interact with this as this was normal, and I really appreciate that. So as you can see right here, the rest is just normal stuff. So we clear the screen, we render the map, we render our game objects. I changed the loop. I just used like the for each. If you guys have ever programmed in Java, there is this for each loop in which you grab each object, and this is the same thing. You can still leave the other one, but I prefer this because I don't have to write too much, and more, it's more nice, and we just check if edit mode is active, is true, then we render our GUI. If not, we don't render it and we simply play. And also here, we want to update only when we're not in edit mode. So when we're playing, we want to update. If the edit mode is active, then we will not update, and that's why things are just standing on the screen like there were no action going on. And we also have this event function right here, which we call in the update here. It's important because when we push the escape button, we want to set the edit mode to true. The delay is important because when you push a button in SDL, the event doesn't happen once, it happens many times. So if you don't somehow slow the computer a little bit, then you will repeat that event at least 6 times, and this will bring some trouble. That's why it's important to slow the computer a little bit. Tell him, yeah, rest a little bit. This is 200 milliseconds. The computer will rest a little bit, and then the next cycle, this value will be taken. But if you don't, you will see. Let me show you, for example, what I mean. I want to comment this also. I have to close this right here, and I run. Now I will compile something. So we got this. So if I push escape, you see, it's happening. Well, I had this problem before, working perfectly. Okay, but I still want to keep that. Always want to make sure the computer is working perfectly, because I had the problem before. It was too fast. The computer was simply moving too fast, and the reason that was the reason why it was actually repeating that even many times, and it wasn't a good idea at all. I think the reason was because I was doing it inside of the update right. Maybe the fact that I'm calling the event here make this different, but still want to keep it like that. But this is not optimal. This is not how we do it. Do it like this. Do it only once. That wasn't optimal at all. And we got this, and I would simply be able to remove all. I like too much. Always want to write less. So, and the exit function is straightforward. We simply say, okay, map level, we clean the map, and we delete. Always want to make sure you delete every variable that has been created using the new operator, because if you don't, you'll get some memory issue, and that's very difficult to handle in C++. And we clean our object map or list, and yeah, we simply push the size back to 0. We clean our texture manager, and we have this open menu right here which we haven't used, but I can simply show you this. I hope this is gonna work, because as I said, I had some issue about the memory. I'm gonna do it right here. I'm gonna add another event for the button. Now say if we push the M, if we push this key right here, we want to go back to menu. So I simply want to grab this. I don't want to call that. I want to grab this. Paste it. So we simply go to the engine. We simply call our change state. I think that's straightforward. Yeah, that's the idea. So let me compile this again and see if this. Oh, I had this edit mode. I moved that. Okay, if edit mode, let's see. So if we yeah, let's do it like this. Kind of on this. So if we are in edit mode and we push this key right here, we want to go back to the menu. I don't know what happened. Okay, so I just kind of push the escape button, and I want to push the M, and you see we're actually in the menu right here. but there's nothing inside. That's why we have the menu. You can see right here, texture clean, exit play, menu initialize, and we are in the menu actually. And that's how it works. And yeah, it's just perfect. So thank you guys for watching videos on Metico channel. As I said, the source code is available on my Patreon page. Go out and check that out. If you have been following along, it won't be a problem for you to get what I've been doing, because as I said, I'm trying to explain everything so that you guys would always catch, so that you guys would always understand what I'm doing. So if you have any problem, any concern, just write me in the comment section below. And also think about to support my work on Patreon.